One of the things you want to really clarify in terms of staying motivated is why are you writing in the first place? One of the hardest things to figure out sometimes is you feel this urge to write, you feel this desire to put something to paper, but you don't know why, and what is the outcome of that. If you can figure that out, that would be great. And what's the benefit of the reader, the people that are reading it? If your whole purpose in publishing a book is you want to be a millionaire, there's probably easier ways to do it, and there's probably better ways to do it. If your motivation is that you want to help people, or you want to entertain people, or you want to help them with their journeys, or whatever that looks like, figure that out, because that's something you want to come back to. In the times when things are rough or that's slow going, you want to come back to it over and over again to help create that motivation for yourself. The other thing that I have done to help with my motivation is to create vision boards. So literally I have a vision board that shows not only my work with Cosmic Kitty, but the other parts of my platform, the other things I'm working on. And I use that vision board on a regular basis to help inspire me. And I'll even add things to it, and I'll move things around to help with my goals. I also use law of attraction concepts for motivation. How you think is what you're creating, is what's happening for you. So, you don't have to know anything about law of attraction or even care about it to remember that if you're thinking negative thoughts about your writing, or if you're thinking negative thoughts about yourself, you're probably not going to be as effective in your writing. So even if you fake it till you make it and really try to put some positive spin, some positive attitude into what you're doing, that will pay off. And it will eventually become real. You will absolutely buy into it, because that's how we're wired. You put the emotion in, and then eventually the body and the mind catch up. But that really makes a big difference. So just because you are wanting to write something, there are lots of tools and things out there that you can help to create motivation for yourself, even if it's not as strong as you would like to have it out of the gate.
Even though it's what I wanted to do, it was tugging at me, it was nudging me, it was bugging me, it was nagging me. But I said, oh, no. I can't do this because, number one, I'm not good enough. I can't run with the big boys. There's no question. I am not good enough. And that was the biggest hurdle I faced internally in terms of why it took me so long to really make a serious go of writing a book. That had to be number one. Number two, I gave myself lots of excuses that were just lies and deceptions. And one of the biggest excuses was, oh, I don't have time to write right now. But when such and such happens, I'm going to do that. When I can buy a new computer, or when I finish this big project at work, or maybe when I get closer to retirement or something. It was just one excuse after the other. And I'm here to tell you, if you set your mind on really being a writer, you will find the time, and you will expose yourself for the liar that you are when you say all these excuses. And I take a tough love approach with my writing students about this, because some of them don't like to hear that. Oh, but you don't know my life. I know you have the same number of hours in a day that I have, and if you're willing to sacrifice whatever needs to be sacrificed, you can make it happen. I ask all of my students this: what are you willing to do, be, or give up in order to be successful as a writer? Are you truly willing to do, be, or give up what is needed? And, that's one of those gut questions that every writer has to ask. Some will be willing, some won't. And so you have to kind of live with yourself with that. But it's all a matter of a made-up mind in this business.
It's a little bit like the birthing process. I mentioned in earlier that, maybe a somewhat distant second, but second to having a child born to me, creating a book and getting that first copy FedEx to you so you can see it in completed form is a pretty special experience. But you have to be, maybe begin with the end in mind and create what I would call short-term marks or goals along the way, so that you can keep moving forward. Because it's a labor of love, but it is labor. And you're not inspired every day. Maybe that's the third tip. Don't sit down just on the days that you're inspired, because if that happens, you're not inspired that many times, particularly not just sitting there before you've actually started putting, well, you would say pen to paper. I guess it's actually fingers to keys now. But so I actually I had a professional practice, and I did what I did then. If I had a project I needed to do, I would schedule time to do it. And it didn't really make a difference if I felt inspired or not inspired. I knew that on Tuesdays from 2 to 5, for example, I would be working on the book. So I'd say you have to introduce structure and discipline, but set yourself short-term goals that you can have a sense of accomplishment. It's easy in a chapter in a book because oftentimes it's chapter related, or for me it was individuals that I wanted to cover in my new book and tidying that first one off. And I'd say the other thing is people also maybe have a tendency, oh, I'm on a streak, I'm going to keep writing until I'm exhausted. I'd say that's actually a mistake because it's so hard to get started the next day if you think you've exhausted every potential idea. So I would always leave myself with the idea that I've got more to say. Let me write 1 or 2 notes. For me, what I would do is I would type 2 or 3 sentences in large cap letters at the end of wherever I left off, and I knew that was going to get me started the next time. So I didn't really kind of fear getting started. Be disciplined about it. Make short-term goals that you can achieve that gives you the sense of accomplishment, but don't forget the overall goal of the excitement and the exhilaration you're going to feel when you get a book delivered to you that, like I said, hopefully you're going to be in a situation where you read it, your kids read it, and your grandkids read it, and your great-grandkids read it, and you've left a mark that's going to last well beyond you. There's not a lot of things you can do in life that once you leave in 50 years, most people will never know you've done it. But writing a book is something that, it doesn't have to be a masterpiece, and it may only be within your lineage of your family, but what a legacy you can leave that can last hundreds of years. So leave that, if you have that long-term aspirational goal, these mechanical things will take care of themselves, and just go for it.
So having a mindset, if you know me at all, I am very big on mindset. Mindset is probably the most important part aside from practicing your craft. So wanting to achieve a writing goal starts with the belief that you actually can. But there are also different layers to mindset. So it's not just simply saying, I believe I could write this book, or I believe I can publish a book. That's the first part of it, but there are other things that go into it, like environment, your environment and who you surround yourself with. I know that writing is typically viewed as a solitary profession, but surrounding yourself with writers and people who are doing the same things you're doing and who can cheer you on and they're actually supportive of it is essential, right? Because that's going to help you stay in the right mindset. Also, if you fall out of the positive mindset, they kind of will help pick you back up. So environment is one thing. Also, just checking in with your goals on a regular basis. Studies show that the percentage of you actually finishing a goal is higher when you are writing it down and checking in with the goal every single week. And that plays into mindset, because if you're not meeting goals, it kind of pushes the mindset down, right? It's like, oh, well, I can't do anything. Writing down your goals and checking in with them every week is also very important. It's like there's a lot of different things, but those are just kind of 2 examples that I would say are layers of mindset. So
it's very scary to share your heart and your words with the world, and you have to be brave. You have to be willing to get it out on the page and then get it out into the world. So that would be the first one. The second one would be hard work, because at the end of the day, if you don't take this ball and run with it, it is never ever gonna go anywhere. You could write the best book in the world, but if no one knows about it, and the way they're gonna find out is through you doing hard work, for you finding where your fans are, connecting with them, building relationships, getting the word out, and inspiring them to take action. That's the second one. The third one would be creativity, because I think the world needs new voices and new stories. I think we need different perspectives on things, and not just repeating things that have already happened, which can be fun too, but there's a lot of people out there with very unique stories who are too afraid to tell them. So if they combine those first 3 things with their creativity, I think they're going to do really, really well. And then you need to be passionate. The authors that I gravitate the most toward, they are the ones who really believe in what they're doing. They care. It's more than a book. It's like their mission in life, or at least it's a lot of fun in the process, and you get swept up in it because they're having so much fun with it. You want to be a part of that. So you got to have passion, and then lastly, persistence. Because as you know, in the writing world, there's a lot of things that we can perceive as rejection that are really just redirection. and you have to be persistent. You have to go after it with get very clear about what you want and what success looks like to you. And for some people, it's seeing their book on a bookshelf in a major store. Some people, it's seeing money in the bank. Some people, it's seeing happy, smiling fans, or some combination. Get really clear about what you want and then go after it with everything that you've got as if your life depended upon it. And if you do those things, I feel like you can be successful not only in the book world, but also in life.
What I wish I'd known from the beginning is that there isn't really a wrong way to do this as long as the results are there, as long as the words get on the page, and as long as you are learning and growing your craft. There's so much debate about, are you a plotter, are you a pantser, should your prose be at this level, should your prose be at that level, and none of those things really matter, but those are really good ways to cripple yourself, to listen too much to, this is how it should be done, this is how I should do it. Should I every day revise yesterday's writing before I start with a new one? No. Should I not look at any revision at all until I'm done drafting? When I'm done drafting, should I put the thing away for 2 months and then look at it? Should I immediately start revising? Should I plan in advance? Should I write by the seat of my pants? Should I do some sort of a hybrid thing? And the answer is none of these things are wrong if they are working. And if something's not working, then you just got to keep casting about. And what doesn't work for you today might work for you tomorrow. And what does work for you today might stop working. So you might have to change courses. But, I read a lot, and some people are very opinionated about what they do, and they stop saying, this works for me, and this is my reality, and they just start saying, this is the truth. And I have definitely seen people say, no, this is the way writing is done, and if you're not doing it this way, you're doing it wrong. And very successful people, people that I admire, and especially maybe more so when I go back and read older interviews, I think maybe people are becoming more sensitive to the fact that that's not always true. So a lot of times I would look at somebody that I admire and I'd see what they'd say about something, and I'd say, oh, well, that's not how I'm doing things at all. I must be doing things wrong, and that's why I haven't sold yet. So let me try to be more like this person, and suddenly I couldn't write anymore. So it's very important to embrace the fact that your mileage may vary, and different roads can lead to the destination. So, one day out of really bad blockage and just kind of desperation to get words on the page, I returned to something that had always worked for me to generate words, and suddenly the words were there again, and I realized, why did I ever stop doing what worked for me? It's because I let someone get in my head. I listened to someone say, this is the right way to do things.